Hey, we're just gonna walk for a little ways because it's the thing you do to keep.
At the geographical center of Utah, artists mingle with farmers at this well-preserved Mormon settlement. From music festivals to world-renowned potters, Spring City, Utah is a unique place. Inside Victory Hall, a 100-year-old restored vaudeville theater, old-time radio comes alive.
So we got what? Comedy and drama?
We'll start on 4Q2.
Okay, you want her voice there?
Yeah.
Numbered streets are
that's a quote.
boring.
Even though it's a thought, it's a quote.
Okay. Numbered streets are boring.
Good.
Leah thought as she turned back to the Hardy Boys mystery that kept her entranced.
That first line I should have put with the other paragraph, but it'll do there.
I'll say that and then we'll do it.
And then I have a little reading to do.
Yeah.
If we were just meeting, how would you
Describe us, huh?
Well, we're just some people.
Well, way back in 19-odd, whoever it was.
So, I don't know, we met about 32 years ago and we're crazy about each other and got married, and we'd been coming down here for a while just on anniversaries, and we just fell in love with the area. So we thought, well, maybe we'll just have a little place to retire to. And that started us on a journey.
The journey for Mark and Vicki Allen was twofold. First, an ambitious remodel of their current home, which was originally built in the 1880s by a wealthy man named Jim Crisp. The building served as the All-Red Hotel from 1915 through 1927, operated by Orson and Lorena Allred. The Allens' home is now the Spring City Hotel, a beautiful B&B on Main Street. Secondly, and perhaps the most ambitious journey, is hosting a live stage radio show.
Give Mom's stuff a try. You will not be sorry. Your softer skin is waiting to tell a softer story.
Mark and Vicki Allen bought the place next door, turned it into a bed and breakfast, and we got acquainted with him and found out that he'd been in the entertainment industry for years as an entertainer. And then he came over one night and said, hey, I need a writer and a director. I said, oh, what for? And he said, I want to start a radio show in your hall. Now one of them's going to be number 6 here.
Okay,
so
good.
That's going to bring it down to 4 on
Okay.
I'm an entertainer.
Yeah.
I was born an entertainer. Ask my brothers. I drove them crazy growing up. Crazy. Well, that's just how I was. I love life. I love waking up in the morning. I love running all day long. I love going to bed at night and crashing so hard that I sleep so sound that I wake up in the morning and do it all over again. I'm an entertainer.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what to expect, you know, and a lot of people don't realize the talent we have here in Utah.
Right.
And that's what I want to do, is slap them right in the face with that first, right off the bat, go into your song and your harmonies and everything. I mean, come on, really? How can you ask us why a radio show? We live next door to a theater, to a guy who builds stages. He's a writer, he's a director.
Mark's been a DJ, been on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean,
It just all kind of went like this.
So when you moved here, you didn't know anything about this.
No.
No.
So this is like, you feel like this is a calling, or you're meant to be here.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, things happen to you here.
Mark was talking a little bit about what's unique about Spring City, and part of that was the artists that moved here and started fixing things up. We have a really small population. We have 900 people in Spring City, and about 65 of those are artists. So there's a really thriving artist community. There's lots of galleries, there's beautiful art to see.
And for an artist who, wants to paint everything you see, I drive around going, oh yeah, what about that? Yeah, don't forget that. Better come back and take a picture of that.
Spring City, full of springs, full of lots of natural springs. Indians camped here. There's arrowheads all around where the spring is, the big spring. And people still come here and fill up their jugs.
Go for it, Bones. Get a good gulp.
Oh, one of the people that came to town that fell in love with the architecture was Craig Polson and his wife Melissa in 1974, I believe, and they were able to get the entire district on the National Historical District, like Williamsburg, West Virginia. I mean, how's that for a historical town?
It has the largest concentration of pioneer homes west of the Mississippi or something. I mean, it is a national historic treasure.
There's a huge variety of people between the historic preservationists and the artists and the sheep herders and, the born and bred townies and the cowboys.
You get it all here.
You get it all, and they are all just a scream.
You can never check for safety enough, because there's always. Thank you. Like dropping your glove on the ground. This is perfect, because now we've got plenty of. And you can hand Charlie the lead rope.
So you made a step on this right here?
Yeah, that's step on the step. The benefits of having Spring City on the National Register have been really good. There's been a number of projects done in the town. Come on, Andy, come on. Come on, come on.
In 2000, Lawrence and Lana Gardner took on an ambitious project of their own. It led to an award from the Utah Heritage Foundation for their efforts.
We moved here, I think, 15 years ago, and bought this old theater and the other adjoining buildings. And I think it took us like 13 years of that 15 years just to restore them.
And we did the work ourselves.
The building, although it's a 100-year-old vaudeville house, it looked pretty much like a warehouse when we bought it. And we've restored it and brought it back to its former glory, I hope.
The end result? A beautifully restored vaudeville theater with lifelike set pieces adding character and charm. Majestic Horseshoe Mountain stands in the background, captivating the live audience.
How do you think the radio show is good for the community?
Well, as someone who has a storefront on Main Street, it's good because it brings people here. It puts Spring City on the map. I have, for years, worked at branding Spring City as an arts destination, and the radio show definitely plays into that and does a very nice job. And it makes it so that the other businesses around do a little bit better. And down the road, it starts to make a pretty good income for the people who produce it and perform on it every week. You start out first by kneading the clay to get it smooth and homogeneous, get lumps out and bubbles out, and then you center the clay on the wheel, which is what I'm doing now. I'll say this to you, Matt, about Spring City. One of the things about Spring City that I like about this community is, despite any disparities, any differences in politics or religion or culture, everyone who lives here has this thing in common. that no matter what they do for a living, if they lived somewhere else, they could make more money at it. People locate here in spite of the fact that it's difficult. And they locate here because they love the place. And so there's a really strong sense of place here. And I'm really happy to see Lawrence's dreams about his theater come to fruition, because I like to believe that there's a lot of different kinds of art. And what's on the stage is as important as anything else.
You know, these people. You're tuned in to KMGR Classy FM. It is a beautiful summer evening here in June. Shadows are skidding along, and that means it's time for us to start Life Under the Horseshoe, recorded live from Victory Hall in Spring City. You can be a part of the audience or tune in every Saturday right here for Life Under the Horseshoe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Allen, your host. And my friends, you are listening to a live recording of Life Under the Horseshoe. Looks like we got a good group here tonight. You all from Sanpete County, or do we have some out-of-towners? We do. Midway, Spanish Fork, Salem.
No, you look like $1 million. You know, it's a good thing I already got a girlfriend, or...
Now don't you go getting fresh, Ben!
You're supposed to say, when people come to the show, to give the lead-in.
When people come to this radio show, they can expect a lot of fun, I'm telling you, because we're having a blast. We are having so much fun, a lot of work. Oh my gosh, a lot of work. Across the street at the museum is the hotel register for the All Red Hotel, and in that are a lot of the performers that performed at the Vaudeville Theater. So one thing that's happened, that's transpired that we didn't expect, is we are doing the same thing they did 100 years ago. The exact same thing. Wow. People are coming here, staying here, performing in the Vaudeville Theater. And the best part about that is now ours are being recorded digitally. So our great-grandkids will be able to sit down and put it on and say, look what my great-grandparents did and great-great-grandparents. This is what they did. This is the home they lived in. This is what they did next door in the theater.
The theater on Main Street, built by John Baxter, has had an interesting history. It was originally a silent movie house, complete with a pump organ to accompany the picture and entertain the audience. Since its opening in 1914, Victory Hall has had many different uses. A first-run movie house with performances from Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, Evelyn Nesbit, and a showing of the drama, The Birth of a Nation. The theater was also used as a roller skating rink, a general meeting hall, and more recently, what locals called the Old Folks Party.
But it was a real nice event, and it was a great time for a lot of the older folks to get together, you know. And it wasn't necessarily just the ones that were still living in Spring City. If you'd grown up here, a lot of them had come down from other towns. It was usually held when the weather got cooler, so there was an old coal furnace in there that I remember. Boy, you could smell the coal smoke when they were warming the place up.
After a little while, it fell into disrepair and was just boarded up. And in the 1990s, Lawrence and Lana Gardner came across the building, and it was just about falling down.
I think it's been fun. I personally don't regret one moment of it. My wife may have a different story, but
No, most of the time not. Haven't regretted it.
yeah, we couldn't have any better partners than Mark and Vicki. She is very good at producing, and she's creative as well, and very talented. She sings. Mark, he's just a tremendous picker.
Wow.
He can play that guitar like no one I've ever met.
My whole childhood
And grade school and teenage years were pretty tough because of stuttering. I stuttered a lot, everywhere, anytime I talked, which was normal for me. But having that love for music from an early age, my dad taught my brother how to play guitar, and they called us all in the living room. Okay, I want to get to watch Steve play the guitar, and Steve picked up the guitar and played a song, and I was kind of jealous. It's kind of like, hey, I'd kind of like to do that. And so I told Steve that, my brother, and so he pulled me aside and taught me a couple chords, and at the age of 12, I started playing the guitar, and then I took it to school, and then everything changed. Nobody cared that I stuttered anymore. I wasn't called scramble brains or the teasing names that the cruelty that kids do.
We're hoping that you will sing it with us tonight.
Edmund Burke, a statesman, author, and philosopher, once said, "People will not look forward to posterity who never look backward to their ancestors." The Allens have an interesting family history. One might say, if it wasn't for their opposing, vastly different family stories, things might have turned out differently.
Well, actually, you know, growing up and hearing that my great-grandfather provided horses for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and the Wild Bunch was only a very small part of the story. And that led me to Robert Redford's book, The Outlaw Trail, A Journey Through Time. After he filmed Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, he actually got on his horse with people and rode the Outlaw Trail. So I'm going through the book and I open up a page and there's my great-great-grandfather's portrait. And then the other side of the story.
Well, you know what they always say, lady loves an outlaw. So our histories, you know, while there were a lot of different things, there are a lot of similar things. They both came here seeking something to this country. And my part of the family, my side of the family was, were temple builders. They worked on the temple here in San Pete County and in St. George and Salt Lake and Logan and lots of different areas. Knowing the history of both of our families and the legacy that they left us and is really a great thing, and knowing who they were and helps us to find out who we are.
Fascinated with history, the Allens researched Spring City's genealogy and discovered the Beck family, Spit and Whittle Avenue, and what locals called Bummer's Bench.
Well, our regular listeners will remember that old Charlie contracted typhoid fever at the age of 19 at about the turn of the century, and it left him paralyzed from the waist down. But with crutches, he was able to maneuver to an old church pew that sat on the corner of First North and Main. He sat there every day he could for 38 years, chewing tobacco and whittling small toys as he watched the comings and goings of everyone in town. Friends would often sit with him.
Well, what's eating you, John?
I don't like school.
The
girls are kind of nifty, though.
Well, John, you're doing better than you were last year. So if you just keep your focus on your homework and not on the girls like Joe here, then you'll do just fine.
The kids, of course, the bummer kids too. Some kids didn't have parents back then and they lived with relatives, you know, and they'd be attracted to him because he was like that. He was different than everybody else.
He helped him with school work?
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, next time you just bring your homework by here and we'll see if I can help you out.
In fact, there are these sweet stories that people would get surprise Christmas presents that they had no idea where they were from. And after Charlie died, they figured out that they were from Charlie.
He would say things like, "Remember, boys, letting the cat out of the bag is a whole lot easier than stuffing it back in."
Good luck Under the Horseshoe for you, folks.
It's another love story as old as the hills. Wasn't too fancy, it had not a frill, just somebody's heart that had happened to kill again. The young man was Thomas with a push and a shove. He could throw up a sail like a hand in a glove, but the only thing lacking was someone to love again. The young girl was Liza, he said from her birth. She contained more beauty than man in the earth, but only herself, they said it was her.
Well, I think if you're really lucky, you get to be involved in something like this in your life. I've hardly missed a show since they started. And then having the little girls from Otter Creek come out and sing I'll Fly Away.
And he played up on a ladle, a ladle, a ladle. And he played up on a ladle, and his name was Aching Drum. Aching Drum, Aching Drum.
Sorry. I didn't expect that when I came down here. I didn't know there was going to be something so special.
His hat was made of good cream cheese, and his name was Aching Drum. And he played up on a ladle, a ladle, a ladle. And he played up on a ladle, and his name was Aching Drum.
In today's electronic world, video games, cell phones, tablets, and texting rule our world. Perhaps it's safe to say we've lost some of that nostalgia we deeply yearn for. Life Under the Horseshoe isn't just a stage radio show complete with a sound effects person, a talented young cast, a crew handling producing, stage lighting, and audio, and talented music performers. It's a show that takes us to a simple time. We can put down our tablets, forget our Facebook likes and hashtags, and just enjoy the show's feel-good entertainment. With similar themes as NPR's Prairie Home Companion, Spring City's radio show is good for the soul, the community, and the heart. It's what Life Under the Horseshoe is all about.
If you start thinking about who all has lived here, not only the people that built the town, but the people that lived here before, and we've got that spring across the street there, and I often think about the people that lived here before. I imagine they'd be pretty surprised to see a radio show.
I think it's a perfect place to do this. The theater, the people, the town, it just lends itself to what we're doing.
I think probably the best part is the relationships with all the people that we have.
You can invent things and put it on paper and make things up, but not down here. Down here you can come and see it. You can drive down here, you can knock on our door and meet us. You can meet Lawrence and Lana Gardner that restored the theater. You can walk into the Vaudeville Theater and see the stage that was created and put together for the radio show. We're live.
You can experience Life Under the Horseshoe.
This has been the third season of Life Under the Horseshoe, and believe it or not, it's coming to a close. The final episode starts tonight. But never fear, they'll be back again next year for their fourth season, and you'll be able to hear every episode right here on Classy FM KMGR. As we go now to Life Under the Horseshoe.
And I'm your host, Mark Allen. And folks, most of all, we thank you. Thanks for coming and thanks for tuning in. And those of you in our audience tonight are invited to stay and help us blow out the 100 candles on Victory Hall birthday cake. Good night, folks. And remember, if you're not having fun, you're wasting time. Good night, everybody.
After waiting for years, she gave up her wish to live out eternity wrapped in his bliss. But as for now, she'd settle for just one kiss. I'd like to say happy came in the end, but last night I said, and I talked with a friend. He said for Eliza, her heart would not mend.